que c'est un privilège d'entendre Sean Finn nous parler de son CN, son contentieux, sa façon de voir les choses, sa façon de voir le monde. Mon cher Sean, c'est à ton tour.
Bon, je vais te dessert, j'imagine, c'est ça le plan de marche. Écoutez, André, au nom de tous les membres du contentieux ainsi que tous mes collègues ce soir et les gens du CN, je vous remercie beaucoup pour l'honneur qui nous est octroyé. Il n'y a pas de doute que le contentieux, c'est un partenaire parmi d'autres au CN, mais je pense que la reconnaissance est fortement appréciée. Et peut-être juste avant de commencer, je vais demander à mes collègues qui sont au contentieux de se lever pour être reconnus comme étant une équipe qui est ce soir. Donc, tout le monde au contentieux, levez-vous, on va voir combien il y a de gens. Puis, qui est au bureau ce soir, évidemment, il n'y a pas grand monde au bureau. Donc, merci à vous tous, puis félicitations. So, this is an award to the law department, but clearly our function at CN is corporate services, and I define it pretty simply. Something bad happens at CN, we get a phone call. This evening, Paul Deegan is here, who's our Vice President of Public Government Affairs. We recruited Paul from the Bank of Montreal 2 years ago, but his dad, Al Deegan, who Alphonse would know well, spent over 40 years at CN. Also visiting this evening are two of my colleagues, Olivier Chouk, and we do have work-life balance at CN. Olivier had a concert with his daughter. He said, Sean, I can't make dinner. I said, Olivier, I understand. We'll make it up to you some other way. But Olivier would have been here, but unfortunately he had to pick between us and his daughter. He made the right choice, in my view. And secondly, right here, Steve Covey, who's our Chief of Police. Steve is not here, but Steve has spent 30 years in the RCMP. So you can see between Paul Deegan, Public Affairs, Government Affairs, Christina, the Corporate Secretary's Office, Olivier Chouk, who's the leader of the Law Department, and Steve Covey, very diversified group. So even though the Law Department is receiving the award this evening, when you had a chance to read the article, quand vous lirez l'article, vous allez voir que le contentieux est un groupe multidisciplinaire. I have lawyers who go see mayors, I have police officers who go and see judges, once in a while. But I also have people who go see politicians that are not traditional, so I want to thank them all for that. Mr. Prime Minister, Ms. Mulroney, thank you very much for being here. Obviously, you gave us Paul Tellier, who did an outstanding job. You also started the whole ball rolling on privatizing CN. I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for that. I've known you for many, many, many years. And there's no doubt the deep relationship between Bougainville-Renault, Norton Rose, and CN goes back those many years. It's very simple. There's a long-standing relationship, a lot of trust, but also a clear understanding we're trying to achieve. Anybody who thinks that Mr. Monroe is slowing down, I was at an event in Calgary on Saturday morning. Essentially, the chief legal officers across Canada were there, and we invited him to come talk on all kinds of topics, from 8:30 to 10 o'clock in the morning. He spoke from 8:30 to 10:30 nonstop, with no notes, about the challenges we have, and it was a surreal experience sitting in that room at the top of the Encana building, look at Mr. Mulroney, Prime Minister Mulroney, talk about Canada, talk about the experience with the Rockies in the backdrop. I said to myself, it's a long way from Bécomo, but clearly a lot has been done. And he said one thing on Saturday morning, you know, he said, success is when challenge meets leadership. And I believe that very much, you know, give somebody some challenge, get some leaders in the same room and you'll do great things. And we did great things together, but Canada is better off because of you, Mr. Mulroney. You play a very unique role right now, I think, when I discussed with the United States of America and free trade. I'm very happy to have you here tonight, but also very proud that you can be a great Canadian and continue to work for us going forward. So thank you very much. Mon ami Alphonse Gillard, Alphonse était chef du contentieux quand je suis arrivé en janvier 1994. Et puis Alphonse, évidemment, avait un bagage réglementaire, un bagage en litige. C'était l'expert de les vaches accidentées par les chemins de fer à travers le pays. Quand il y avait un accident de vache, Alphonse avait l'appel. Alphonse, great leader in the law department, brought us through the privatization. Jean-Marc was right, I played a role, but Alphonse was le chef du contentieux. C'est Alphonse Gillard qui a organisé toute l'équipe. C'est Alphonse qui a dû dealer avec le conseil, avec Paul, avec Michael, avec le jeune Claude Mongeau. Évidemment, Alphonse a démontré beaucoup de leadership, mais également nous a montré comment le faire dans un sens d'équipe, d'avoir évidemment des opinions puis des idées à l'égard de comment les gens travaillent ensemble, but also his people aspects. Alphonse was always a big believer in making sure that people felt important, felt they had a big contribution. And Alphonse, in addition to doing a great job, made sure we understood that we have a job to do, but we had fun doing it. Like Alphonse, a big supporter, and almost I'm here today because of Alphonse, I think has made a big difference. Also, Jean-Marc, merci pour tes propos. Jean-Marc, c'est une soie. Ça fait bientôt 24 ans qu'on travaille ensemble. C'est vrai que Jean-Marc, c'est quelqu'un qui est always stable, never gets excited, never gets into an argument. You have a problem, Jean-Marc will solve it. But, Jean-Marc talked about being available. C'est vrai que Jean-Marc est disponible, mais Jean-Marc, si je l'appelle le soir, la fin de semaine, c'est parce que c'est vraiment urgent. Je ne suis pas quelqu'un qui, puis mes collègues le savent, qui insiste que les avocats en pratique privée soient disponibles 24/7. Quand on est mal pris, on va appeler, mais le reste du temps, on comprend que les gens ont des vies. Mais Jean-Marc était un joueur crucial. Évidemment, M. Mulroney a parlé de privatiser l'Air Canada. Jean-Marc a pris son expertise au CN, il est rendu au conseil d'administration d'Air Canada. Puis depuis qu'il est là, ils font de l'argent. Donc, je pense que Kaylin puis lui, on fait des grandes choses. Mais Jean-Marc, merci pour tes propos. Mais surtout, merci pour ta confiance puis ton support depuis 20 ans. Christina, you had a great job. Obviously, very impressive. You're a better speaker than most of us would ever be. But she spoke from the heart tonight. And Christina is a big part of our function. She's been there, as she said. Alphonse hired her 23 years ago. Et si le conseil d'administration aujourd'hui au CN a une crédibilité, a de la force, c'est de la grande partie à cause de Christina. Elle a une grosse équipe derrière elle maintenant qui fait du travail. But Christina is always there, always also very calm. And around me, you have to be pretty calm, because I'm not too calm. But, between Jean-Marc and Christina, do an outstanding job. Person I missed tonight, my good friend Olivier Chouk. Olivier has been at CN almost for 20 years. Olivier came from Auguste-Renault, having gone by through at Donahue, but no doubt Olivier has built the team. A lot of people in the room were hired by Olivier, but Olivier is a strong leader, very much a business lawyer, very much tied to the business, and he might not be a certified locomotive engineer, but he knows the business inside out. And we miss him tonight. We understand that he chose well that his wife and his daughter can have him with him for the evening. So on behalf of Olivier, I want to thank you all for being here. If he'd been here, he'd tell you how much he appreciates the recognition. Je pensais prendre juste quelques instants. C'est clair que les contentieux, on peut en parler beaucoup, mais je pense que notre fonction fait partie intégrante de l'entreprise. Puis le fait que les différentes composantes nous donnent une force, je pense, assez importante. But ultimately, our job, like many of you in this room, is to be trusted advisors to the business, but the people at CN. And that's something I think we've learned from Mr. Mulroney and from Jean-Marc. Relationships are king. Obviously, they apply also internally. We take for granted, Michael Sabia or Claude Mongeau or Paul Tellier has no choice but to consult with the law department. Well, they do have choices. And one thing we learned at the IPO, Paul would always say, nobody has to buy our stock, no shareholder has to invest in CN, no shipper has to ship by CN, and the same applies to us. And I think early on in our process, we realized we wanted to be successful at CN under Alphonse's leadership, we had to always remain relevant. Faire partie intégrante des équipes de gestion, s'assurer que les gens au CN réalisent qu'on ne prend pas le travail pour acquis. Parce qu'évidemment, ce sera le même enjeu pour les gens dans la pratique privée de prendre le travail pour acquis. Et je pense que ça nous anime à tous les jours et qui fait en sorte qu'on amène des services de façon exceptionnelle. L'intégrité, je pense qu'Alphonse en a parlé. You have to be able to work closely with people, but you must be able to say no. I'm looking at Laurent Giguère, who was our auditor at CN for many, many years, over 10 years. Laurent lives in St. Lambert, as you probably know. Laurent and I coached hockey together. I had 2 boys. His son was the goaltender on the team. We're the only team in St. Lambert that lost 14 games in a row by more than 10 points. People walk in the arena and see the score. Oh, it's Laurent and Sean. So on our 14th game, we're in Candiac, Quebec. The score is 0-0 halfway through the second period, and we score a goal. Richard Finn scores a goal. The problem is in our own net. The goalie was Laurent's son. So I take the puck. I said, Richard, you get the puck. Congratulations. But the message was those kids learned how to lose. And losing is part of life. We all have challenges, ups and downs. That's a very important experience in life, and I think we've all lived that different ways. One thing I learned from Mr. Mulroney is when people are down, you don't kick them, you call them, you offer your help. You say to them, listen, I understand it's a big challenge, but things will be better. Same thing au contentieux. On a des bonnes journées, des moins bonnes journées. Quand on a des déraillements, c'est assez intense. Mais je pense que ça fait la force de l'équipe. Être capable de faire face à la diversité et d'en sortir plus fort. Je pense que c'est un enjeu important pour nous contentieux. Dieu sait que peut-être moins aujourd'hui, toucher du bois, mais on a eu des événements assez extraordinaires depuis des années, puis je pense que le contentieux a joué un rôle primordial. I want to say just a few words about bringing new people in. I think we all talk about that, succession planning. I have a good colleague, Andra Sivanen. Where's Andra? Stand up, Andra. Andra is bar of, I was going to say 1975, bar of 2015. And Andra joined us a little bit more than 2 years ago. And that's the future of our contentieux. Il n'y a pas de doute qu'Andra fait partie du contentieux. Plusieurs autres collègues ici, mais je vais parler d'Andra un petit peu. So you bring Andra into CN. I always tell my colleagues, you know, how do you onboard people? And the story goes that Claude Mongeau, when he joined Bain in Paris, he walks into the Bain office in the first morning, and the receptionist, Mr. Mongeau, bienvenue. We're in Paris. How do you know who I am? They got the picture. The whole day was spent with the senior partner at Bain's. At night, I'm a cocktail for Claude, and life was good. 5 years after, Pierre, he joins Sécor. He shows up at Sécor's office at 9:30 on Monday morning. Je suis Claude Mongeau. Je viens travailler chez Sécor. Ben, vous êtes qui au juste? Qu'est-ce que vous faites ici? He sat in the reception area from 9:30 to 12:30 before someone had gone and said, Claude, welcome to Sécor. Here's your office. We'll see you next month. That marked Claude Mongeau. So he said to us when he became CEO, we have to do a better job onboarding our new colleagues. So as Sandra knows, when we get somebody new, we ask them 3 basic questions. Within the first year they're there, the first question would be to somebody after 3 months, what do you think CN does? The answer is very simple. CN moves its customers' goods from point A to point B safely. What we do is very complex. We make it very complex, how we do it, but ultimately it's pretty simple. After 6 months, you say to Andra, well, that's great. Now, what does corporate services do at CN after 6 months? Well, we provide, legal services, public services, but we support the business in a very aggressive way. And the last question after years is to Andra, what do you contribute to? How do you make a difference at CN? And if people understand that, chances are, dans la première année, ils se sentent bien intégrés, puis à long terme, ils votent. Parce qu'il n'y a rien de pire d'avoir un jeune collègue au contentieux ailleurs qui, après 6 mois, 7 mois, se cherche. Qu'est-ce que je fais ici? Qu'est-ce que CN fait et pourquoi c'est important? Je pense que je reconnais Andra, mais au nom de tous nos nouveaux collègues, puis Dieu sait qu'on a beaucoup de nouveaux collègues au CN, je veux reconnaître sa contribution, puis je compte sur elle d'être ici dans 10 ans, Alphonse, puis dans 20 ans, pour faire la même chose qu'on fait ce soir. So obviously, our role is to be leaders, to support what we do, but also to support the business. And I guess, obviously, the same way that we support the business, people like Brian Mulroney, Jean-Marc Huot, Robert Roth is here from Denton's, which is Pierre's firm, Sonia from McCarthy Tétrault. These are long-standing relationships. And I often tell my colleagues, we fight very hard at CN to make sure the Walmarts and the Canadian Tires do not view our service as a commodity. On ne pense pas qu'une commodité, on pense qu'on est un service de valeur ajoutée. On s'assure que nos clients ont un service exceptionnel just on time. I tell my colleagues, if we don't want to be a commodity when it comes to our customers looking at us, how do we make sure the law firms are not commodities? Long-term relationships, not just built on the holy billable hour. How do we work together? How do we build a stronger business together? And the firms we pick firms and people involved in those firms. I'm very proud to say that we don't change your billable hour time yet, Jean-Marc. Wait a few more days until Olivier gets back in the shop. But ultimately, it's not about a commodity. How do we add value together? And I must say, the firms we deal with have done a great job in doing so. If we're here tonight, if I'm here tonight after 23 years, it's because of these law firms that have been very supportive. And in Montreal, headquarters are few and far between. So it's important, we recognize it's important that, the Jean-Marc Huots, the Mr. Mulroney, the people in Montreal have access to the work because they're top-notch lawyers, and we're as good as anybody else in Canada. I also want to say a few words very quickly. I think that it's important that law firms realize, as well as our audit firms, communicate openly. We're very open to sharing information. The more information we share, the more you learn from us, the better you can give us services. It's very important to be proactive. And obviously, Jean-Marc said it, being available is crucial today. But again, I do not want Jean-Marc or Mr. Mulroney on their BlackBerry 10 a.m. Saturday morning saying, can you make the meeting in 2 months from now? That can wait till Monday morning. And that's important for all of us to realize that we can stay connected all day long, but ultimately, we're paid to think. If you spend your time on your BlackBerry, 2 thumbs and a brain are not connected, you have to make sure you're providing advice. And ultimately, firms are valuable to us because they give us access, make us work harder, make us think, because Chris said it's very important to us. So our success is very simple. It's corny, but it's our lawyers, our people in the function. Secondly, our paralegals play a key role when it comes to going. Our support staff. Tonight, Rosemary est présente. Rosemary was my secretary at CN from essentially 2000 to, oui, merci. 2000 to 2016, so almost 16 years. I've been married for 38, so you're not far, Rosemary, but and you're way more tolerant than my better half, Nicole. But Rosemary's done a great job. Again, as you know, support staff and assistants are crucial to our success. But again, Rosemary is an ambassador for CN. She retired after many, many years. I won't say how many. She's very young, but the support staff and administrative staff in our function is essential. They are, essentially our face within the company, but also our face outside the company. So, one last thing. I think it's important, Mr. Maloney said it very well. Leadership is about vision, being able to see around the corner a wee bit. There's no doubt that we have tried together to create a very strong vision. Very few, we call them staff functions. Big companies have a vision. We have a very clear vision. You can see it in the brochure. We know where we want to be in 2020, but ultimately we want to make sure you're all part of the journey with us. So thank you for being here tonight.